Okay, so today I got about half an hour to 45 minutes. I want to get some data in directly from YT into Blender. So we are going to be using the Blender built-in Python along with YT and the data bpy library. So to get started, let me put this up there. Okay. I'll be listening to one of my favorite live albums of all time, the Guess Who live at the Paramount from '72. So what I did earlier was I pip installed using the Blender Python. So I'm in my release directory 44 python-m pip install, and I installed YT pandas pooch and h5py. Um, it's not the kind of thing that I used to be able to do because we had these different we had all these different packaging systems that weren't as amazing as they are now, I guess. I don't know. The last time I tried to do this was a really long time ago. So we're now going to load up Blender, and inside our Blender environment, we should have access here to YT. And it looks like we do. So let's go ahead and here go on in. Let's open up my VS Code environment so that we can get things set up. The other thing about this is that we can use any of the extensions that are already loaded in. So my CSV importer is in there, that's nice. Geometry script is also in there. So what that means for us, yeah, node tree script, okay. What that means for us, oops, I don't want a new text file. I want a new file, Python. What that means for us is we can import data bpy. Let's go ahead and import bpy as well. And this will let us create new Blender objects. So let's import numpy as np, import yt. So let's get our standard favorite sample data set in, YT grids in Blender. All right, so let's see. Now let's get our vertices objects. So the way we're going to do this is we are going to create vertices and at the center of every grid, and then we will add additional attributes that describe the size along each dimension, as half size along each dimension, as well as uh, actually that's the main thing we want to do for now. So maybe we'll add some additional data on later on, but for now that's what we're going to do. Okay, so we are going to create an object. And we will call this, we'll give it some vertices in just a second. Name equals grid hierarchy. So let's see, grid centers, ds dot index, that is not correct, plus ds dot index dot grid right edge divided by 2.0. And then we're going to do this in units, unitary, so that it is scaled to the domain, and we'll do .d. So here, why is that? Oh, because it's too long. Now let's give our vertices here, and we'll say grid centers. So this gives us our grid object. The other thing that we want to do here is we want to check to see if the object already exists, but we'll manage that in just a moment. Um, so let's execute this. Oh, now let's also add on an additional, we will add on an additional set of attributes. Um, this object has, you know what, let's pull it up in here first. Okay, so we should get a grid hierarchy over here, and we did. So let's kill our cube. Let's go back to geometry nodes, grid hierarchy, add some new geometry nodes there. You see we've got all these different positions. And if we zoom in, we can see, oh, look at that. We've got all these different vertices. Perfect. So now, let's go back to our scripting, import data bpy. Data bpy dot object. Yeah, looks like what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to use the bpy. bpy.data.objects. All right, so let's go back in here. This way we can rerun it multiple times. If grid hierarchy in bpy.data.objects object equals data bpy dot how do we get, we want this wrapped in the Blender, and here we'll actually call this create Bob. We'll do data bpy dot Blender object bpy dot data dot objects grid hierarchy. Okay. So that should do it. Object dot data bpy dot create. No, Blender object on that. Okay. Store named attribute. Yeah, there we go. We give it our data first and our name. Okay. So data, we'll say object.store named attribute grid half width data equals ds.index.grid width. I'm not sure grid width is actually a thing, but I guess we'll try that. Yeah, I didn't think it did. Okay. For the begin. So let's do, we'll simplify this a little bit. Okay, that should do that. Grid widths equals, there we go. Okay, that should do that. Now let's reload this. Alright, looks like it executed. Now let's go back here and we've got our grid half width. Awesome. So now let's create a mesh vertices to points. Okay, so we got all these points now. Now let's instance on points. We'll do a cube primitive. Okay, and now let's read named attribute. Oh, that's an invalid link. Node input does not support size. Dang. Alright, well, I guess we're going to have to transform. Nope. Set instance transform, I guess. Guess we could scale the instance. New. Splendid lady, come to call. Okay, get a vector. Grid half width. Oh, maybe I actually just want grid width, but let's view this in wireframe. Yeah, I think I actually just want grid width. Okay. So here, so let's go back. So let's reload this. There we go. All right, now I like this to be transformed, so set instance transform, transform geometry. No. What is that supposed to be? Uh, plug that in? Yeah, all right. So now I should be able to translate it by, yeah, there we go. Okay, so now I've got my grids right there. That's nice. So we've got our grids in. That was surprisingly easy. All right, now let me add a wireframe modifier. Now why is that not working? Supposedly it's adding a wireframe modifier to the output of the geometry. So it should be. But I guess. Huh. Maybe I have to realize the instances. Let's try that. There we go. Yeah, so I did have to realize the instances. That's disappointing. Yeah, that's also disappointing right there. So maybe there's a way to do a mesh. Maybe I have to do it with a material. Okay, let's get rid of that. We will output the geometry. We will just do that material. So let's go over to shading. All right, let's see now. Can we get just the wireframe? Okay, so that does it, but it includes all the different triangles and whatnot, which we don't particularly want. Also, it hung. Wonder why. Just doing a wireframe. Okay. See what happens if we get a volume in there. Not much. So let's multiply this by 100. So that puts that volume. Yeah. All right. Getting the wireframe is kind of frustrating. So maybe the right thing to do here is instead come up with curves for it. Let's see. Okay, that actually seems to have just done it. So here we've got curves instead. So these curves are now no longer, well, these curves are, yeah, okay, so that works for me. So let's go back here. Let's add on a couple more things. Now if we go here, this should give us an additional piece of information we can use. Why am I not getting any attributes? Okay, there we go. I'm not getting grid level in there. Did I mess something up? Did I get an error here? I don't see an error. Well, that is definitely not correct. Why did it not error out? All right, grid level. All right, so now let's set our material. Let's go back into our material shading area. This time we'll just set the color. Yeah, we don't have anything in here, so let's do principled BSDF. Now it might just not work because it's rendering curves, so let's see what the renderer looks like. We may need to have like a curve thickness or something set, or specify something in order to get exactly what we're looking for. All right, here's our render. Empty so far. Oh, maybe it's done. Yeah. All right, our curves don't look like anything until we actually have something. So let's go back to here. Curve to mesh, I guess. Oh, that's not what we want. Curve. Oh, isn't it? We don't want extrude. Split edge, subdivide, triangulate, dual mesh. No. I've done this a bunch of times. Why am I just not forgetting it? Or not remembering it? Why? I just can't remember. Okay, there we go, curved and mesh. I guess I had done something different just a second ago. So, all right, now my profile curve. We want this to be, I guess we'll have a primitive of a, yeah, I guess we'll do a mesh, no, I guess we'll do a circle. Oop, that was way too big. Alright, so that's a little too small. Okay, let's try re-rendering this, see what it looks like. Okay. Yeah, we're getting stuff at the edges. I guess that will be for later. Now let's go to our shading. And let's read the attribute grid level. Let's do a color ramp. Actually, back to scripting. Open our import CMs, run that. And now, I don't know, I'm going to lock all of these. Because even though they're not linked, we still want to keep them. And I don't know if that actually matters, but it seems like in the past I've gotten situations where my images just stop responding. Image texture, map range. Actually, we'll go back to, no, we'll do map range. This attribute. Okay. Now we will use apricity. No, I don't like apricity. Let's do dusk. Arbra. Alright, so everything's coming up at the very edge. Is it already scaling it? Alright, let's combine XYZ. Oh, it's supposed to be in Y. Okay. Let's take a look at our image over here just to make sure that it's doing it right. That's really strange. Let's go back here and we will get rid of our mapping there, and let's go into geometry nodes and let's do our mapping here. So store named attribute before we set the material, although I'm not sure it matters. We'll do attribute statistics, map range, do our min from min, max from max, read attribute, grid level. So now we've got that mapped. Call it level norm. Yeah. Let's see, what does that give us? What? Oops. That attribute. We got to do both. let's see what this looks like. Huh. All right. I suspect this probably needs to happen way back here. Level norm. There we go. All right, now inside our shading, instead of doing any of this, let's combine X, Y, Z, level norm. Yeah, and it's still, that's so strange. Why don't I instead do, let's just do a noise texture. Let's see if I can get any different values. Looks like no. No, there it goes. It is doing different values. But it's still not giving me any different values here. So that's, oh wait, I have an audio file for that.
Can you say something?
There we go. Now let's see, can I preview this? That would be really nice. Let's see, I did add on, yeah, shader node previews, okay. So where I'm at is I've got, it's supposedly sampling my CMap Arbra, so let's do instead let's do a color ramp. And then that color we'll put into base color. So it's all black. Yeah, everything's coming out as 0 when it's reading level norm. Is it in the instancer? It looks like it might be. Okay, that. Yep, there we go. All right. So what was happening was my instancer is where the attributes are associated. And so all the geometry inside this no longer has affiliated information with the individual vertices. So all the attributes that were on each point get passed down as instance attributes. So that's something. And it should have been obvious to me, but it was not. So let's render this. Okay. Yeah, got that gross little thing right there. But otherwise, it's looking promising. Okay. The next thing that I want to do, let's see if we can do this. What we ultimately want to do is we want to create an image, and for this, let's go back to our import CMs. bpy if slice not in bpy.data.images. One thing I really like about this album is that they split up a couple different songs that are typically together. This is not one of them, but they split up New Mother Nature and No Sugar Tonight. Oh, no, they don't. What? I'm all confused. Anyway, if slice is not in that, let's create it. bpy.data.images.new slice, and we'll do 512, 512 alpha. Yeah, okay, that looks good. Image equals that. Else. Yeah, alright, there we go. Oh, that was nice. No. Yeah, it looks good too. So let's do np.log10. So now, let's go back to my script. Reload it from disk, rerun it. Unexpected indent. What? Yeah, of course. Alright, so that should create a new image for me called slice, but it didn't. Data and name. What? Oh, images. Oh, because it's supposed to be RGBA. Alright, let's take a look real quick, because you know what, let's just put a couple different ones in. We'll do S1. No, that's our S. So R equals S density. I don't want that. G equals S temperature. B equals S. Yeah, let's do velocity magnitude. There we go. And here, this will be np.log10. This will be np.log10. Image equals np.stack. Alright, there we go. Why is stack not working? Huh. We'll do a concatenate. guess we wanted a long axis equals 2, but we really want them. This is probably going to come out in the wrong order, so we'll have to deal with that. Because we want RGB, 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 RGB. We'll just figure it out in a minute. Oh, that's the wrong one. YT image. Huh. Not a known attribute. All right. Let's just get rid of all my units. All right. Axis 2 is out of bounds. I said alpha equals false. Let's just do another one then. What else did I change? Oh, right. This. Okay, so let's reload. We should be able to get a slice in before I have to go. I gotta go in about 5 minutes so that I can eat some lunch before my next meeting. As type F4. Alright, so now slice. Let's lock it. Let's go back here. Let's take a look at our image. Yeah, so it's definitely going in the wrong order. I think if I do this, oh right, I gotta add the float. Miss your mind. Okay. Alright, so that loaded it. No, it's still in the wrong order. Getting the order right for these is really frustrating. Alright, so I guess what we ought to do here is we ought to do this the smart way. MP.zeros, 512, 5124, okay. Array, YT image, alright. And now let's do this. Should be able to get it in. Okay, there we go. All right, So let's go to this. Let's see. I bet I can get a slice in before the end. Add a plane. Okay. So plane. Geometry nodes. Let's create a new material. Image texture. Oh, come on. Okay, let's get our slice. Color separate. Oh, let me scale these. So let's get. Oh, actually no, I can just do red into the vector. Here, this will be algae. No, algae is not great. Let's do arbra. That color goes in there. Okay, so now the color for slice. Oh, I got to rerun this. So now we go back to our shading. We should be able to see something at this point, but yeah. Okay, so now we've got our color in there. Separate out the red. The red goes into the vector to the base color. Great. Okay, and now let's go back to our geometry nodes for our plane and set that to our slice map. And it doesn't look like anything. Oh, because I'm not telling it where to select from. Okay. Shading. So let's do our coordinate. Huh. Oh, that's really strange. I figured that I would be able to, but I guess. Nope. I figured I'd be able to just take the plane and do that, but I guess there's a UV that needs to happen. So let's take a look at my UV. No, that looks right. Yeah. Let's try one last thing, and then I gotta grab some food. one last thing, 'cause I'm just fixated on this. Seems like it's just sampling from the very bottom. Okay, well, that is all I can do for today, for right now at least. I am going to come back maybe later today, but probably not, to try to finish up getting all the slicing automated, to try to get slicing automated in this. Because in principle it'd be nice if we had that, but right now it looks a little tricky. Okay, something simple, I'm sure. All right. Thanks, everybody.